Okay, guys, so what better place to talk about depression than the most depressed place in the building? The boiler room. Listen, you got to find the places wherever you can, and this is where I found. So let's continue on our depression. Um, we talked about how we got in there, we talked about the New Deal, but we want to talk about the Dust Bowl and the effect of the depression on other people besides white Americans. So we keep talking about this natural disaster that happened that intensified the depression, but we haven't actually talked about what it was, which is this drought in the plains region of the United States, which, along with those poor farming practices that we've talked about, leads to a complete erosion of the topsoil in places like New Mexico, Oklahoma, Arizona, um, anywhere that you've homesteaded, really. And we talked about this. The Homestead Act had offered people land in exchange for farming. But if you don't know how to farm, you're kind of just going at it blind. And so a lot of people over farmed their regions. And a lot of people just continued to farm the same land over and over again without letting the plant life grow back. Now, an experienced farmer knows that if you do that, you're going to eliminate the plants that you need to maintain the topsoil. But inexperienced farmers may not realize that. And so the grass that has been there, the prairie grass and all of that stuff that has held down that topsoil for probably thousands of years is gone because the farm people have gotten rid of it. And so there's a drought, which is going to dry up the land, and the grass is gone. So there's nothing holding the topsoil down anymore. And so we start to get these massive windstorms across the Midwest, which is going to pick up all of this loose dirt and just swirl it around. So picture a blizzard, right? We just had a blizzard. Picture a blizzard, but instead of snow, it's dirt. And that's what the Dust Bowl was. It was years of massive windstorms that picked up all of the loose dirt from the non-existent topsoil and just swirled it across the country. And I'm not talking like, oh, it went to the next county over, although it did. These dust storms could take this dirt as far northeast as New York City and Washington, D.C., and people could see it. And this is a massive ecological disaster because it is destroying the Midwest, it is destroying the plains and the Southwest. But it's also destroying farming practices because we don't have the ability to farm this land. And this forces a lot of people who had gone west to leave their homesteads behind and continue further west to find a new place to live and to find a new job because you're not making any money on the homestead anymore. And so a lot of these migrant farmers or these migrant families continued westward from Oklahoma, from Arizona, New Mexico, into California to work in the fruit regions of the United States, picking grapes, picking, I can't think of any other fruits right now. But people are already working those jobs. The people who are already working those jobs, though, are Mexican Americans and Mexican citizens. And so when the white farmers need jobs and they go to California, the California labor boards and commissions start to remove Mexican workers and Mexican laborers from these jobs to give them to white farmers. Now, again, some of these are American citizens. So they are not only removed from their jobs, and those jobs are given to white farmers, but the Mexican Americans are actually expelled back to Mexico, and they are essentially kicked out of the country during the Depression, and they are sent to Mexico because they're not welcome in the United States because we need those jobs in those places for white America. And that's a trend that we will see. It's a trend we've seen, but it's a trend we will continue to see even after the Depression ends. But so we have this great ecological disaster, the Dust Bowl, we've got the Depression, and we've got Franklin Roosevelt who has come in to deal with it using his New Deal policies. And we talked briefly about them, but we should probably get a little bit more into depth into what the Agricultural Adjustment Act is, because it obviously directly impacts the Dust Bowl right there, right? Agriculture and the Dust Bowl. So the Agricultural Adjustment Act is going to help farmers, not necessarily those homesteaders, more like the corporate farmers there, be able to make more money off of their surplus stock so that the wheat and everything that's been sitting there is not just going to waste. And it's going to put money back into the farming economy to the farmers who are providing farm food to the country rather than to those independent farmers, although independent farmers will probably benefit from it a little bit too. We should spend, we will spend a separate video on the New Deal programs, the alphabet soup, but we do want to wrap up this one with the expulsion of Mexican American laborers and the Dust Bowl. If you're looking for a book to read about the Dust Bowl, our friend Timothy Egan writes a good one. It's called The Worst Hard Time. PBS has a series by Ken Burns on it. I highly recommend both of those, but if you want more about the Dust Bowl, definitely read The Worst Hard Time. Definitely watch the Ken Burns series because those are going to be more informative than probably this video. I will see you next time for a little bit of alphabet soup.